Hey everyone, Simon here. It's been a long time since I've made one of these YouTube videos, and people have asked me, why aren't you making videos anymore? And my answer is always, well, all of my stuff is out there on the web, um, on my website. All my courses are there, but sometimes people can't afford the courses or just want quick information. And so for that reason, I put previous courses on YouTube, or just had some live ideas that I had that I wanted to share with the world. And so I made a bunch of classes, free stuff for YouTube. Recently I haven't had the sort of the desire to do that, partly from hosting other teachers and looking at their classes, partly because I've been doing other stuff. We just moved, and moving sucks. It's a very kind of stressful experience. But I'm back because I want to announce something for 2023. My goal for this year is to give away a lot of free stuff, a lot of free info. I want this to be a year of giving. And we already had a free class. If you aren't signed up for my emails, I actually do not have a link for you. Let me think where you can go to sign up. Just shoot me an email and I'll put you on my list. Yeah, I'm a terrible marketer, guys. So let me think about that. But if you're not on my email list, and keep tabs on this YouTube page, because what I'd like to start doing, so I had a free class earlier in January from a guest speaker, and tomorrow, Friday, I will be doing a live compatibility stream. What does that mean? That means I will be looking at your charts. If whoever joins, I'll be happy to look at compatibility between yourself and a potential mate, current mate, just as I've done with movie stars and stuff. So for example, Giselle and Tom Brady. I'll talk about their charts today a little bit, and why and how we predicted that they would break up a few weeks before they actually did. And it's in their compatibility. And so in this YouTube, if you search my name and you look for compatibility, you'll see I've got a number of videos on astrologically, what makes people click and what keeps them clicking for a lifetime, what makes people click and sometimes break up, and what makes people never click, right? So there are many permutations, there are many variations of how people come together, and why they break up, why they stay together. I've taught individual techniques here on YouTube. In my the reason I brought up my website is because most people don't even know I have a courses website, decodingvedicwisdom.com. So on this site, I do have some classes that are for a more complete kind of analysis of relationships, but I'll be doing more in the future as well. So I've taught the techniques, but to really understand how this stuff comes together, I think it's important to actually look through a couple of charts and see there live, like what works and what doesn't. And we're not always right, but we can try to be more accurate than just random chance, right? That's the goal. In fact, my goal in working with Jyotisha and astrology has always been to bring this ancient and venerable science back into in good standing with proper society, if you will. Now, many people, especially in India, but even around the world, who are millionaires and billionaires and royals and such, many, not all, but many of them do use astrology, but they do it on the hush-hush, right? They don't tell anyone. And I want to bring this out of the parlors, out of the back pages of newspapers, and you know, and make it something that is accepted and understood by the general public as a legit science, much as psychology. Now, psychologists will say, wait a minute, we have studies to show that, you know, these disorders and such and such. Well, we have studies too. And those studies have been running a lot longer, many of them, than, you know, studies of some of the modern disciplines. I'm not disparaging any modern disciplines. I'm saying that astrology has been around for thousands of years. And if it didn't work, if it didn't provide predictive success, it wouldn't have stuck around. In fact, Julius Caesar, believe, was famous. Was it Julius Caesar or Tiberius? He's interviewing his astrologers, and what they don't know is that if they don't pass the interview, they get killed, right? So in the old days, if you say, hey, I'm a consultant, I'm an astrologer, you were putting your life on the line potentially, especially if you applied for that job as the royal. And of course, in his famous instance, the astrologer comes in and Caesar says, what do you see in the chart? And the astrologer looks at the chart and says, I see that my life is in danger. And Caesar says, you're hired on the spot. And of course, they had a relationship for the rest of his life. So important people, politicians and so forth, and the princes and princesses of the world, the stars in today's, you know, lingo, movie stars and whatever, they always relied on Jyotishis, on astrologers. So what have I done in that respect? So my goal has always been, you know, to take it out of the realm of the new age. Like, so there are books like this, Linda Goodman and others who have done good work to promote astrology, but they've promoted this idea of sun signs, ascendants. And it's like saying medicine is about aspirin. Well, medicine is not about aspirin. Aspirin is a part of medicine. It's one type of medicine, but it's limited people's understanding of astrology to sun signs. And so when you look at a book like this and you go, oh, that's what compatibility is? Nah, thank you. I can do better. And I agree. And that's why we've developed, I've worked with my partner Nadia to develop a system that is a complete system of compatibility. And it includes the sun, the ascendant, and much, much, much more. So it's called Delano. And you can't see the little logo here. It says a match made in heaven. And I'll be bringing this to the world soon. And in fact, I'll be using it to do the readings that I'm doing for everyone live. But my goal has always been to test astrology and to prove it in the real world. And this started when I wrote a book. What started before I wrote the book. The book is the anthology about my quest into predicting sports outcomes. And while it went well for the time I was doing it, to be honest with you, I am disappointed in the outcome, in the long-term outcome, because number one, I wasn't able to be 100% accurate. I wasn't able to be regularly even 70% accurate. At times, I would be 80, 90% accurate, 100 for a good week or two. And then I'd have a week where I just get it wrong. And I found that extremely frustrating. Recently, some of my students with whom I've worked have made new discoveries and have shown that when certain planets are stationary or when the nodes go direct and stationary, the true nodes, then it changes things up, it flips things. But even so, it's been difficult to come up with a foolproof system, which underscores the idea that this is tough. It's tough to be a very accurate astrologer, and that's why probably people these days poo-poo this practice, right? However, uncannily, we've been able to make some massive predictions. Most recently at the World Cup, where we looked at, and I won't go into, I thought about when I made this video, should I go into the World Cup, go into show some why certain teams won the games they won? And I said no, because I think people are interested in stuff that's even more basic than predicting outcomes, is how to find love. And so that's going to be my focus moving forward. But to finish this thought, two games with the exact same chart produced a very similar result. You look at the first game of the World Cup and the game after that, the next day, which had started at the same time, very similar results. But sometimes they don't. And then what I found the reason is that very small increments of time, 1 or 2 minutes, can make a difference between what nation becomes a champion and what nation goes home in second place. And I said it out loud as I was watching. I said, guys, 5 minutes can change the fate of nations. And you'll think I'm kidding, but I've got the charts and the proof to show this. 5 minutes, it's actually less. It's really 2 minutes can change the fate of nations. And that's the kind of subtlety we're working with. If something begins, or if a person is born 2 minutes later, their life can be often very different from the person who's born in the same place, almost the same time, a couple minutes before. So this is what has challenged astrologers for the longest time. And I tried to solve this in writing my book, Gambler's Dharma. So where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is that my goal has always been to show this works in real life. So for this book, I made real world bets. I put $500, $1,000 on a prediction, and I would say this team is going to win. And more often, and you can read about it in the book. But moving on, the next step in my mind is to show people their relationships. And to me, that's a greater service, because most folks in the world aren't interested in sports betting or anything like that, but everyone wants love. And everyone wants to improve existing relationships, whether it's between themselves and their parents, themselves and their boss, themselves, and then themselves and their partners. And I propose that there is a way to do it, and that we have the technology to help people do it. Can we match people 100% all of the time? Probably not. No, I don't think so. But can we help people find and match them for love far better than just random chance? Absolutely. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So that's today's announcement. And I'm going to go into Giselle here and Tom and kind of go through why I think they didn't work out, and why, in fact, we predicted they would fall apart. So here are their charts. And I would love to do this live, actually. So when I teach classes, we have a Q&A, and often the questions evoke things that I hadn't, foreseen, or things I hadn't thought about discussing. And almost always the questions make the discussion richer and more meaningful, especially for myself and for the students. So for that reason, tomorrow, Friday, I'll be doing a live stream and doing this with your charts. Now, out of respect for the people and their information, I will keep information private as far as that's possible. If you come in live and you put the info in the chat, please leave out proper names. Just give me a birth date, time, and place for the couple, right? You don't even have to say who it is and so forth, just for the sake of privacy. If you would like to email me, this information beforehand. So you've got 24 hours, basically, if you catch this video right on time. And email me. I'll leave my work email below. And you can kind of let me know what the question is about this compatibility and so forth. And I'll try to get everyone who comes in live. That's the goal. All right, so let's jump in to Giselle and Tom. Now, why am I doing this couple? Just random. I could do other couples. It could be a little more revealing, but again, out of privacy, because their names are here, I'd like to leave them out. Celebrities tend to be fair game for three reasons. One, this is the way I was taught, and the best astrologers and teachers in the world use celebrity charts. Number two, they use them because they're well known. Everybody knows, for the most part, not only who they are, but what their relationship is. And number three, their birth time tends to be known, right? It's been investigated. All right. So in my software, this is a web-based software. So you can go to delano.com and sign up. There's a free version, which gives you the basic scores. And there's a paid version that gives you all of the info. And I'll be giving some specials coming up here in the next few days on this software. But this is available at delano.com, and you can put in as many charts as you want. And the first thing we look at on Delano is something called the modern methods. The modern methods start with the core connection. Core connection is how two people get along at the most basic level. It compares their moons, their lagnas, their suns, Venuses, okay? And right away from the start here, you can see that there are negative scores. In fact, very negative scores. And by the way, there is a key here. So their core connection is minus 2.5, which is in the difficult range. Now, but what this doesn't aggregate is that there are huge swings. There's a very positive score here. Okay, we'll make that a plus. And there's a very negative score here and here. We'll make those two minuses. So what do we have? We have, when you see something like this, you have a love-hate relationship. In some aspects, you love the person, you get along great. And in some aspects, you're like, this person's from another planet. Particularly because the moons are misaligned. Now, what does this look like in actuality? So I'm not going to show you charts, but what we have in Delano is you can pull the planets in the cusps. And right away, if you look at Giselle's moon, by the way, this is all sidereal. Okay, so these are the sidereal placements, but the relationship will be the same. If it whether it's tropical or sidereal, the relationship in terms of degrees from each other. You'll notice that the moon is in Libra at 11, and his is at Pisces at around 12, 13. That creates a 6-8 relationship, what in tropical astrology is called a quincunx, or a inconjunct, which is a weird name because it means not conjunct, which anyway, it's stuck around. So an inconjunct is a 6-8 relationship, which is considered in Vedic astrology the worst, particularly so because it's only 1 degree apart, one in about, just say under 2 degrees difference of orb. So this is a very tight 6-8 relationship, which suggests that these people on the level of the moon, which is the emotional understanding, are very much at odds, very far apart. And if you know anything about Vedic astrology, you know that it's built on the moon. The dasha bhukti, meaning the planetary periods, are built on where your moon is. The nakshatras are built around where the moon travels through the sky, and so forth. So it is very much a lunar system of astrology. And if your moons are misaligned, that's a problem. Okay, so that's the first kind of tell when it comes to this relationship, is a massively negative moon score. In fact, it's about as bad as it can get. However, it's balanced by a sun score. Now, when it comes to relationships, sun indicates kind of your outlook on life, your life philosophy. And in this case, they seem to, their sun signs, right? As I was just talking about here with Linda Goodman's book, oh, their sun signs were perfectly aligned. And they did get married and so forth, but sun sign is not enough. Especially in relationships, sun signs, you can underline this now, sun signs are the weakest factor. Stronger than sun sign is your Venus sign. Stronger than the Venus sign is your ascendant. Stronger than your ascendant is the moon. Okay, so the moon is the most important factor. And here we have both the ascendant and the moon negative. In fact, even the Venus is negative. So already we're off to a rocky start. Now, let's keep going. Here we measure Jupiter and Saturn's effect on relationships. So Jupiter creates friendship, it creates support, it creates that sense of well-wishing, I wish you the best. Saturn creates criticism, it creates harshness, but also it creates it out of a sense of wanting things to be perfect. So if you have a lot of Saturn, it's not necessarily a horrible thing, but you're going to have to mitigate it using certain strategies. I've made videos about that on how to mitigate Saturn effects, like my Saturn on your Venus, my Saturn on your moon. And they're very easy but specific things you can do. So let's take a look at how they compare here. And the line on the bottom is his Jupiter aspects her ascendant. Great. So he is a genuine well-wisher for her. It's a mild aspect. It's not super strong, but it's okay. We also see that his Jupiter, he's the man to the woman is the bottom line. The woman to the man is the top. Also aspects her moon. So he actually is a genuinely wanting the best for her. Great. That's a good foundation to relationship. The problem is when you don't see a lot of it from the other side. Now, this doesn't mean she didn't want the best for him. It means that he didn't feel supported. He may not have felt that sense of unconditional support and well-wishing from her part. Okay, so they have a score here for Jupiter. And they also have a little bit of Saturn. There's not much going on in the Jupiter-Saturn, so this isn't definitive. If you see this in a relationship, you just move on to the next thing. And that's the beauty about charts, is sometimes one indicator will tell you the whole story. I did a reading recently where this indicator told the entire story, because the Jupiter was from one person to the other, and it was very strong. From person A, the Jupiter, from the other person, nothing. Kind of like this, but much more. There was much more Jupiter. But on the other side, person B was all Saturn to the person A. So person A was giving all their Jupiter energy to person B. Person B was giving all their Saturn energy to person A. And all I had to say was 2 sentences, and they're like, yep, that was the relationship. One indicator can nail it for you. In this case, this indicator doesn't tell us much. This one does, the core connection. So you'll never know, relationships are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, right? So you never know where the clues will come from. Here we get it from the core connection. Well, let's keep going. There's something called soulmate indicators. Now, their soulmate score is good. It's decent. You can see between 21 to 30, it's considered high. So we have 24 points. So it means there is enough. Soulmate indicators are the butterflies in the stomach. When you meet someone, they're the butterflies, the excitement you get. So you see they have a Moon-Venus combo, which is very nice. They have Moon-Mars. I've talked about some of these before, Venus-Mars. These are the Western techniques of synastry that create passion. So there's definitely enough passion here, and we see why they got together. But is this enough to hold a relationship? Not by itself. So let's keep going. Karmic glue. Karmic glue is about average. 41 to 50 is it's a decent. Oh no, it's 52 and a half. So yeah, it's a fairly strong bond, which is again, karmic glue are those outside factors that are beyond your control. Like you meet someone and you start to tremble, like, oh my God, this person gives me, feelings, which you can see here. His Rahu is hitting her Venus. So there's a powerful, Rahu is everything foreign, Venus is love. So they both had a taste for the exotic. So she was exotic for him, he's exotic for her, and so forth. We can go through each of these and kind of give a little bit of a interpretation. But the important thing is, look at this, Pluto. So much Pluto in this relationship. Pluto is power struggles. Each person is going to fight to feel heard and to feel like they're, what they're doing is important and recognized. And in fact, it's mostly from her side. In fact, yeah, all of the Pluto is coming from her side. And so if the couple were here, I'd ask questions. I'd ask her, do you feel trouble asserting your own will, asserting your power in the relationship, meaning what you want to do, versus what they want to do? Do you feel that that's a constant struggle for you? So questions like that. And in effect, we become relationship counselors when we do this, because the goal here is not to say, oh my God, this is an incredible relationship. Oh my God, this is a terrible relationship. The goal is to help people see what the dynamics are. All right, so we come to the next feature, and this is the deal breaker for me, is when you get a very strong danger meter. And I have a kind of a unique way of predicting breakup potential. I call it danger meter. This is the potential for a couple to fight and break up. Now, many couples break up and come back together. That's usually because they have a danger meter score, something between 4 to 5 to 10. But if it's above 10, the breakup tends to, at some point, finally break the relationship. The best cure for this is to simply spend time apart. You just spend time apart. You plug that into your relationship. So, the guy has his man cave, the girl has her space, or the girl goes away for, or, whatever, same-sex relationship, same thing. Person A spends time in their space. Person B travels for a month to their particular thing. And that keeps the relationship healthy. And it's my theory, actually, that because Tom Brady was away playing football much of the time, that actually kept them together, believe it or not. Even though they may say, no, that was the problem, I think that was actually a built-in solution, because people who have a high danger meter have to spend time apart. And even one of the best and most famous relationships between Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, they had this. They had a high danger meter. And in fact, they had their own houses. They spend, even, I think Joan Woodward said, we spent 6 months apart. Now you're going to ask, well, how is that a great relationship? Well, it was a great relationship because they found a way to make the danger meter work, but everything else they had was just fairy tale. So even with a fairy tale chart, one thing like this danger meter being very high, which they have, will still cause you to be apart, right? I mean, even fairy tales, the prince and the princess, though they're made for each other, the evil witch or something pulls them apart. So that's also predicted in their compatibility. So it was based on this danger meter and the core connection that I decided this is not going to work. There's just not enough. When these people actually spend time together, they're going to realize they don't actually like each other or certain aspects of each other. They certainly like some aspects, but the ones that count will be too hard to fix. When you have a -9 or even a -6, that's very hard to fix. If it's like -1 or -2.5, that's fine. That's not a problem. You can easily fix that through discussion and therapy and so forth. When you have very high negative scores, it's a problem. Combined with the danger meter. And then we have who am I to, but let me go to the ancient methods, and this is something I'll be doing. The ancient methods here, again, show a very low score. The ancient methods are the Vedic Kuta system that shows us the viability of a relationship, the long-term happiness of a relationship. And here we just don't see it. We don't have enough of a score. We want a minimum of 20. They say 18, but 18 is, if you're going to be married for the rest of your life with someone, you want this score to be as high as possible. So 19 and higher is acceptable, but really you want it in the 20s. And here at 16, es no bueno. You do have a mutual respect, which is the Stri Dirgha. You have a mutual respect between the couples, which is great. The sexual relationship is okay. The soulmate indicators indicate there's definitely some passion there, but long-term, it's okay. And not super duper. There's some issues there, but it's not horrible either. But really, I'm just going to look at, I'm not going to go into details here, but the overall score, not quite high enough. So all of these factors together, even though we have high karmic glue, which is going to keep people married, keep people stuck to each other, the fact that you don't have the other factors and you have the breakup potential breaks this relationship up. So basically, guys, this is what I'll be doing. I'll be walking you through live couples sessions. No therapy. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I'm not even a licensed astrologer. I don't know if I have any. I mean, I have accreditation from the classes that I've taken, but yeah, so I'm just a guy on the internet talking, right? So just don't pay any attention if you don't want to, certainly, and don't invest all of your your actions, your future actions into what I have to say, because it's also very easy to miss things, right? Or birth times can be wrong. So that is a consideration. But anyhow, based on the tools we have, this is what I'll be doing. So I hope you guys can join me this Friday, and we'll do this live for the first time. I look forward to it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Hari Om. We'll see you next time. Namaste.